नमस्कार, आदाब, सत श्री अकाल दोस्तों। स्वागत है आपका एक बार फिर से हमारे YouTube चैनल ब्रास फ्यूजन्स पर, जहां आज हम आपके लिए लेकर आए हैं एक नया लेसन।
लास्ट क्लास जो मतलब ऑनलाइन क्लासेस, और दिसंबर 12 से या कुछ आपका एग्जाम शुरू होने वाली है। तो कंपनी लॉ का बहुत सारा है पोर्शंस, तो अगर हम नहीं लेते तो आई डोंट नो कि कितना कवर कर पाएंगे। और ये बात तो 100% है कि पूरा ही पूरा पढ़ना होगा, कोई एग्जाम्शन नहीं होगा। तो इसलिए मैं लेना चाहती हूँ कि ट्यूटोरियल कम से कम कुछ तो हमारा अब हो जाए, फिर उसके बाद फिर ट्यूटोरियल हम मतलब रिलैक्स कर सकते हैं। लेकिन अभी भी हम थ्योरेटिकल पार्ट में है। अब केस लॉस आई प्लान टू स्टार्ट इट फ्रॉम मंडे, ठीक है। और आज भी हमारे लिए लेट हो गया हम शुरू करने में। तो और मेरे भी दूसरी वाली क्लास थी, मैंने कंसेप्ट थोड़ा सा मैंने रोका, क्योंकि मेरा आपके क्लास का मेरे को शो कर रहा था कि योर क्लास इज गोइंग टू स्टार्ट। इसलिए मैंने उनको जल्दी मतलब टाइम पर ही छोड़ा। मैंने उनका टाइम पर उनको छोड़ के फिर मैं आई और फिर आपको वेट करने लगी मैं यहाँ पे। तो चलो, एनीवे, सो आई थिंक दैट silence means approval, so I'm going ahead with the classes. Okay, so we are discussing the different types of companies, and Ritvik is there?
यस मैम।
अच्छा, आप बता सकते हो एक कंपनी मतलब जो हमने डिस्कस किया हुआ था, सिर्फ एक कंपनी, कोई भी डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ कंपनी में, could you tell one type of company? Huh?
Ma'am, I can't.
Any type of company, any kind of company.
Private.
Yeah, okay, private company, good. Then I want Yachika.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, tell me any other type of company. Please
Ma'am,
don't type in the chat box for the time being, okay? Huh?
Ma'am, holding company, subsidiary company.
Okay, good. बस एक ही बताना. Thank you.
Okay.
Then Manavika.
Yes, ma'am.
Private company, public company, holding और subsidiary होगी.
Yes, ma'am. Limited company.
Unlimited company.
Limited.
Limited company. Okay. Then Arjun. Arjun is there? Arjun is not there. Amit Kumar.
Yes, ma'am.
Amit Kumar, there are two Amit Kumar here. Why you have opened the system two?
Yes, ma'am. In my system, I cannot access microphone.
Okay.
That is why.
And I have many times I also noticed that even after winding up the class, you used to remain there.
Yes, I have to cut out from both the.
Okay. So tell me any one type of company apart from what the others have shared.
Charitable company, ma'am.
Okay, good. Okay, thank you. So anyway, see, the different types of companies so far we have covered includes the private company, public company, charitable company, holding and subsidiary company, then unlimited company, then what else?
Ma'am, foreign company.
Yeah, very good. Foreign company.
Government company, producer company,
Yes.
1% company, ma'am.
Government company. कौन सा?
Small company.
Small company, yes. Producer company. आयुष कुमार, हमने 1% कंपनी कहाँ डिस्कस किया? मैंने किया ही नहीं मेरे याद से। किया हमने 1% कंपनी?
No, ma'am.
Have we discussed 1% company? It is there, of course. If you are saying that is one of the type of company, I agree. It's not, but we have not. I'm just asking you what all companies we have discussed so far. And one more aspect I wanted to discuss. Yes, Akhlaq, you wanted to share something?
No, ma'am, exactly. I was saying ki, we haven't discussed the 1% company in the class.
We discussed?
No.
No, we have not discussed. Yes. That's
Yeah.
what I'm going to discuss today, and it's a very important part. And before that, there are two companies also. So let me clarify, like, what is the difference, or is there any difference with the unlimited company and a guarantee company? That first, what is an unlimited company, and how it differs from a partnership, and why it is required to have a company start with unlimited liability. Can any one of you tell me, or throw some light on it? What is unlimited company, or why? Yes, please.
Yes, ma'am. An unlimited company or a private unlimited company is a hybrid kind of company incorporated with without share capital.
So is it equivalent to the partnership firm? Like they are partners are jointly and severally liable. So similarly here, the members will
Then
become
in
liable.
unlimited company, the legal liability of the members or the shareholders is not limited.
Yes, yes, good. So that means it is unlimited, and somewhere it is similar to the partnership firm, though it enjoys the privileges of a company. Now, why I discussed it, let me try to, screen share. Just because we are going to discuss today the company limited by guarantee and how it differs from the unlimited company. Okay. Yes. Is it visible now? Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So guarantee yes. So guarantee company. So under all the categories which we have discussed, this is the another type of company which is defined under section 2 subsection 21, that is known as the guarantee company, and other is the shareholding company. So a guarantee company signifies that the company is limited by the guarantee. That means just like you gives the guarantee, मैं उसके लिए मैं guarantee देता हूँ and all you will say ना. So in case if something happens, that time you will contribute and not prior to that. So a company having the liability of its members limited by the memorandum. So the memorandum of association, as a members are the people who subscribe to the memorandum of association. So once the members there agrees to or undertake to contribute to the assets of the company, if the company is facing the winding up proceedings, or now if the company is facing the insolvency and the bankruptcy proceedings, that time the members will agree to contribute their share, and the reason, or it is only at the time of the contribution the liability will come. So that is what the guarantee company means. And section 2 subsection 22 defines another type of company where your liability is till the amount or limited by the memorandum to the amount that is remaining unpaid in the shares that is held by you. For example, if 100 shares has been allotted to you, out of the 100 allotment, you have paid only for the 50 shares, and remaining 50 shares that is allotted, you have not paid to the company. So your liability will be for that 50 shares or 50 that amount. So total liability is 100 only. So out of which that 50 or other which you have not contributed in the beginning, that you have to pay at the time. So how many shares allotted to you, your liability is fixed only to that. So this is also a type of company. So we have seen that these are all the different types of company, and now the most important out of all these things, because one important is the private and the public company, which are in use or which are followed by many and incorporated also. government company, this guarantee, shareholding company, all this type of all the nomenclature and depending upon the business, they have bifurcated. But a new concept, that is one person company, a new concept has been introduced in the Companies Act of 2013 based on the recommendation by J.J. Irani committee. And I told you the whole basis of 2013 is based on this committee by J.J. Irani. So he found that, or he introduced, or he said that there is a need in the committee report. He specified there is a need for encouraging the small business entrepreneurs, and there is a need to recognize the contribution of the single person for the economic entity. In this regard, I would like to say that many a times, a poor person from the society will be more honest. If you take the case even of the farmers or the small traders, if they take the loan from the bank, they try their best to repay it out of even their personal belongings. So much they contribute. But however, what happens, they are ignored. That is why many a times, if you see, they especially now, if you read the newspapers, you can see that people committing the suicide, they are not able to repay, and the people are harassing them and all. But the big tycoons, they have the crores of rupees to be repaid, but they are having, they are very cool and they are very chill and they are not at all bothered. So what is the important aspect is that even a single person or a small trader, they are all contributing for our economy. And similar is the case with the unorganized sector of our country. Our economy, the income that is coming in our economy is mostly from the unorganized sectors. Their contribution remains ignored because they are not there in the papers. And when the people are not working from the unorganized, and if the trade or business is not happening, then it is having a huge impact on the economy, but still they are not recognized. So, because as a sole trader, you can explore more avenues and you can do. So that is why it was recommended that to recognize the contribution of a single person and the artisans and other similar small traders and all, so that they can also venture into a business and they can expand their opportunity with the limited liability. Because if you are a sole trader, then you will become solely liable. Of course, sole liability is there even in case of the one person, but there even your assets from your house, everything will be taken. But here at least your liability will be to the contribution that you have made for starting the company. So that is why it was recommended to get a feel or a status for a sole trader also, a advantage of incorporation under the company. So that's how this term has been introduced. And this concept is legally recognized in UK, US, China, Singapore, Turkey, UAE, even in Pakistan, everywhere, many places they have recognized, legally they have recognized the concept of one-person company. And in India, we have recognized it late in 2013 only. So what is this one-person company defined under section 2, subsection 62? As per this section, it means that it only defines one-person company means a company which has only one person as a member. So, this first part, one-person company means a company which has only one person as a member. So, this is the definition. This is the definition that is provided under section 2, subsection 62 of the Companies Act of 2013. Now, to venture more into it, it says that only a natural person who is an Indian citizen and who is a resident in India, only he can start a one-person company. Then who can be eligible? That is, there is a requirement to have a nominee. There is a need to have a nominee or a sole member, because one-person company means only he will be there. He will be subscribing to the shares. So it is mandatory to have a nominee. And if suppose if nominee is there, if is not there, then you cannot incorporate as a company, because what will happen if we come to the features of the company? It is having a perpetual succession, we used to say. The legal, so one person company will enjoy the legal status, separate legal entity apart from its members. But at the same time, when it comes to the second part, perpetual succession, who will take care or who will look after the business once that one person is not there? So that is why a nominee consent, a nominee needs to be appointed, has been made for one person company. Now let's see what are the features. Features of the one person company is that it requires, it's very easy because it's only one person is required as a subscriber, and then the company will get a status of a private company. So every private status will be enjoying. Then another aspect is that a person who registers one person company is not eligible to incorporate it more than one person company. Like, he can register only one place at one point of time. He cannot have one company in Delhi and another company in Bombay registered as a one person company. So that is not allowed. And same when it comes to the question of nominee. A nominee also can be either in Delhi or in Mumbai. It cannot be like both places. Then, so that is why it says that the memorandum, so it requires all the documents that is required for the formation of the company, like the memorandum of association and the articles of association. So in case of the memorandum of association, it must indicate the name of a person that is other than the subscriber, and that is the nominee's prior written consent is required. Sometimes in the legal documents, your name might be written as a nominee and you will not be aware of it. And especially in the FD and all, maybe your parents might have written your name as the nominee, and you may be aware or you may not be aware. But in this case, your awareness and your consent to become the nominee is required. So there is a prescribed form in that the written consent of the person who is willing to become the member of this one person company as a nominee is required. So if the subscriber dies or is incapacitated to contract by any unforeseen situations, then you will become the member of it. But remember, it's not compulsory for you to continue. If you find that you are not interested, later on you can wind up the one person company. But after taking the responsibility and seeing that everything is discharged, all the liabilities are discharged, then only. So that is why this is the feature of a one person company. Then another aspect is that the nominee to the memorandum of one person company, he shall not be eligible. The same that is applicable to the member is applicable even to the nominee. He cannot be the nominee of more than one person company. So these are the salient features of the one person company. Next, coming to the advantages. What are the advantages? As I told you, the first and the foremost advantage is that it is having a separate legal entity. Okay, so apart from its members, so he enjoys a separate legal entity, as well as the perpetual succession. So the perpetual succession is also ensured with the help of the nominee. So that kind of perpetual succession is there. It is not that if nominee is also not able to continue, then the things will change. Then it will come to an end. Okay. Then another aspect is that one person company, they are supposed to provide the definition of the private limited company. So you might have seen that they are exempted. One person company, that is from the purview of maximum of 200 members. If you remember or recollect the earlier class where we discussed about what is a private company, that is defined under section 2 subsection 68. You might have seen that one person companies are exempted from it. because they are not required to have any maximum number of members. It's only the one-person company. It's not that more than 50, 10 and all, nobody can be members. Then it requires to comply with the provisions applicable to the private companies. But there are, a lot of privileges. One-person company enjoys the number of exemptions. So they are lesser, they have lesser, things to be complied with compared to a private company. Then, see, these are all the exemptions which they follow generally. That is, they are exempted from the stringent legal compliances of general meeting. Otherwise, if the general meeting is not held by a company, it will even amount to the members to ask for the winding up. So that much strict is that it is mandatory. So legal compliances of the general meeting, board meeting, then the quorum, voting, then cash flow statements, then rotation of the auditor, because auditing of the accounts and all these are not that much important. It's not mandatory. Then they are exempted. That is, board meeting must be conducted. So it's not mandatory for them to conduct the board meeting. Then it is also exempted from transacting business. That is, the postal ballot is also not required. And of course, the appointment of the company secretary. But in other companies, appointment of the company secretary is mandatory. Whereas in case of the one-person company, he himself, the director who is a member, he himself can sign the annual return of the one-person company. So these are the privileges that they enjoy. And apart from that, section 122, see, section 122 of the Companies Act, it exempts the applicability of the provision of section 98 and section 100 to 111 to the one-person company. Then power of the tribunal to call meeting of them. So that is what section 98 means, the power of the tribunal to call meeting of members. Then calling extraordinary general meeting, circulation of members' resolution, then voting, poll, proxy, quorum. So all these are are the advantages, because they are all exempted from the formalities the private company requires to follow otherwise. Now, what are all the formalities? There will be only one shareholder. He himself will be the one director, and the director and shareholder can be the same person. And one nominee minimum. It's not that more than one is required. Only one nominee, it is mandatory. Then there is no need for any minimum share capital. There is no need for any minimum share capital. Then, but they are supposed to write OPC to be suffixed with the name of company. So that is very mandatory for them to mention it. That that will distinguish. Otherwise, how will you come to know whether that is a private company or a OPC? You will not be able to identify. Whereas in case of the public limited, you can identify by seeing the word LTD. LTD, if you see, then you will become to know that yes, it's a limited public company. Whereas in case of this private limited also, PVT, then you will come to know that's a private. But how will you know whether that private company is a OPC? For that, you have to see that OPC is written. So these are the advantages, features of one-person company. Now I want any one of you tell me, what are the disadvantages then? Is there any disadvantages for this one-person company, or you can see only the advantage? Any one of you can reply. What are the... Yes, Ayush, this now only I'm seeing your chat box. Would there be requirement for a new nominee in such case? You are mentioning in case of a death, or if in case of the nominee is not there?
In case of the death of the nominee.
Yeah. Then
in case of the death of the owner, yes.
In the case of the death of the nominee, no?
The main member, if he dies, then the nominee would take the place. Now does the nominee have to find another nominee? That is my question.
Yes. So what are the disadvantages? Is there any disadvantage, or do you find that's a good, only advantages, only one-person company? You can also think of starting a one-person company. Legal solution, giving legal advice. You can think about it. Startup company, or this type of where you will enjoy the status of the director, a member of the company. So what are the disadvantages? I told you that they will get the status and benefits of the private company with more exemptions. Compliances are very less. The formalities for compliance of the rules and regulations are less compared to the private company. So in this regard, what are the disadvantages that
But in cases of litigation or any kind of legal cases or suits that are filed against them, the line between the owner and the company would be a little blurred.
Yes.
That can be a disadvantage.
Yeah, because it's just like a sole trader. He himself has to take everything, all the things in his shoulder. But only exemption is that personally, if you are saying that he will not be personally at loss, but mentally and otherwise also he will be at loss only. He has to from pillar to the post, he himself has to take it. And this type of companies are favorable for whom? It's for the small type of business. So if you want to otherwise do a company, why don't you go for other type of companies? Because one person company, in a way, so just to brush up, or just to give the feeling of a company for a sole trader. That's why it is introduced. So practically, though we say that it is very easy, the formalities for incorporation, the paperwork that they have to undergo is also very high. And not only that, these companies cannot do the non-banking financial business. They can't do that because non-financial companies business are more risky, so they can't they cannot form the company with that object. So in this regard, what need to be seen is that disadvantages are there for this type of company, right? I'll just quickly tell you. One is that there is only the maximum or minimum is a one member. Then another aspect is that a non-resident, that is only an Indian citizen, so NRI cannot incorporate. So though we cannot say it's a disadvantage, but still yes, only per person, and he himself is the sole member of the one-person company, and it is generally suitable for the small kind of business. And the maximum paid up share capital is the 50 lakhs or the turnover of 2 crores. Then otherwise it will convert it into a private limited company. So this is a kind of disadvantage. This disadvantage is comparison to the private company. Okay. So remember that it is in comparison with the private company. But if you find you want to do a small business and all, then it is fine. Then another is that business activity, as I told you, one person, they cannot carry out the non-banking financial investment, then or investment in securities with any body corporate. Then they cannot be incorporated or converted into a company under Section 8. So they cannot even be a charitable company. They can't be a charitable company. Then there are other aspect, that is with regard to section, that is with regard to the loan that is provided to the directors. So Section 185 of the Companies Act, it restrains providing loan to the directors, or if they wanted to take, they should disclose their interest. So loans cannot be provided to the directors, but that is exempted. So that means here the one-person company, he can take the loan, but why he should take? If he take the loan, then of course he has to repay it. So a kind of we feel that disadvantages are comparatively more compared to the other type of business like the private business. But if you want to enjoy the status, then it is fine. See, these are all the formalities that is required for incorporation. That is, you have to apply for the digital signature certificate. Then after that, you have to apply for the director identification number. The name approval, this is also again a complication. That is, whatever the name you are, sometimes if you want to register in your Google email ID, they will say that this name is already available. So you have to again see which is the other options available. Similarly, in case of this one-person company, they have to take the approval first, and then only they can proceed further. Everything, all these are in the Ministry of Company Affairs website. You can go to their portal and you can see. You can do it from home itself, but only thing is that you need to do all these things in this manner. Then step 4, you have to upload the documents. So you have to prepare this memorandum of association and articles of association. So all the formalities are of the companies generally, but only thing is that the number of members. Then filling of the form. So you have to file the form, and after complying all these 5 steps only, they will issue the certificate of incorporation. So that's what the one-person company signifies. It's only we can say that they have introduced this concept just to promote the entrepreneurial abilities that a sole trader has, and at the same time, to a certain extent, he can raise the amount. He can raise the amount certain extent, and help from the public only to a certain extent, and in the business activity he is indulged in. But of course, why should anybody help? Because they it's not that shares are there, it's not a shareholding company, right? So we can say that this is introduced, but there are several, I think many of them are starting, especially the arts and arts related things and all. No, they just think of starting, or some of them have started the concept of one-person company. So the remaining aspects of this perspective we will discuss in the next class. Let me take your attendance. शिवम,
दोस्तों, अगर आपको आज का लेसन पसंद आया हो तो वीडियो को लाइक करें। इसी के साथ अगर आपने अभी तक हमारा चैनल सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया है तो सब्सक्राइब के बटन पर क्लिक करिए और बेल आइकन दबाना ना भूलें, ताकि आपको एजुकेशन से रिलेटेड नए नए अपडेट्स मिलते रहें। और अधिक जानकारी पाने के लिए आप हमारे फेसबुक और इंस्टाग्राम पेज से भी जुड़ सकते हैं, जिसका लिंक डिस्क्रिप्शन बॉक्स में दिया गया है। धन्यवाद।